In 1982, I was 11 years old. This engine was the first live steam engine that I ever owned, and I got it when I was 11 years old in 1982. This is from a very well-known and now quite collectible, apparently, um, New Zealand manufacturer called David A. Auld, who lived on the west coast of the South Island in a little town called Greymouth. And he was making machines to compete with Marmot of England. Now, in the 70s and 80s, most of the mechanical stuff that came out of England was awful in its quality, absolutely awful. I had a Marmot steamroller, and the engine assembly and the soldering were all utter crap. So this kind of engine, and he made all his engines like this, similar to what you see here, was much better made than a Marmot engine, and a similar price. As you can see, it's a simple oscillating engine, and it's actually still, I mean, I haven't touched this for what, maybe 20 years, and it's still keeping its pressure in that piston. I'll turn this on, and now it's going to go around freely. So I'm going to run this in a few minutes. So David A. Auld mainly made stationary engines, steamrollers, steam traction engines, but was trying to compete on price and made this crane. That's what was available when I was 11. He made short runs of each of his models, and his selling points were a hard soldered or silver soldered boiler and a cast flywheel. I did not know that flywheels can crack, that castings can crack, sorry. But castings certainly can crack. So have a look at this, have a look at this casting. You can clearly see the cracks there. Not just the painting, there are actually cracks running through that. I'm not an expert in casting, but this is very typical with David Auld flywheels. In fact, this is in reasonably good condition. Sometimes they completely disintegrate. It's very slightly loose, I believe, but it still goes around quite happily. Designed by David A. Auld, Greymouth. Yeah, so I think we should try and get this old girl working. As I say, it must be 20 years, probably 25 to 30 years. Maybe it's been run once in that time, and we shall see. I've checked all this already, and that fitting there, the piston still, I mean, I used this heaps and heaps. There's really no wiggle in that piston at all. There's no wiggle in that piston cylinder fit at all. Now the Marmot ones from the factory were loose as anything. So yeah, no whistle and no sight glass. So for a little kid who wanted something to run around on the floor and whistle and wanted to see that sight glass, I guess David A. Wald left a little to be desired. I believe this was $69 New Zealand dollars. It was advertised in the New Zealand Listener, a nationwide TV and commentary magazine that ended a few years ago. The safety valve is holds twice the pressure of a Willesco or Marmot engine. We didn't see the Willescos in New Zealand in the 70s or 80s. Some people brought them in. They may have sold, but the one that I got in the 80s, I bought it in Australia, in Sydney, in 1986. So I've boiled some water. Let's get this one going. There's no sight glass on David Wald's models, and we're going to fill it up until it's full and then suck a little bit out with the syringe. Doesn't really matter if we boil it when totally full. It just means that it'll squirt a lot of water out of the exhaust. It's quite exciting starting this up. Again, it was such a feature of my childhood. I have such clear memories of running this weekend after weekend. I was eventually relegated to the laundry of our house because my mother didn't like the smell of this, not to mention the oil drops or the hot water that would flick everywhere. But it's the genuine smell of a steam engine that's so unmistakable. Okay, looks like we've filled that up. So I'm going to light the boiler. I'm going to light the fire, not the boiler. This has already been filled. That's the burner. So we're going to light that. See it on the surface. Then we'll be able to light that. Okay, that is on. There's a very, very hard to see blue flame there. Yep, I can feel the heat. So this is going to go in the boiler firebox area. Okay, I can feel the heat coming out of the top, and you can definitely see that flame in there now. Right, and I can feel the heat coming into it. Now when this engine starts, it's going to spit water around the place. There's no smokestack, there's just an exhaust over here. So I have no worries about this running after so many years because I've checked it over. It doesn't appear to be any rust, and the quality continues to look outstanding. I don't have any steam oil anymore. I've just got this motor oil, but that's what we're going to use. Good. Better put the safety valve in. Tight as I can with my fingers. And this is ready to start spitting hot water and oil all over the show. Well, I'd better find a rubber band before it gets going. Okay, that's actually much better now. Okay, not loose anymore. Rubber band, where can I find one? Okay, I've turned the fish tank off. You should be able to hear this. If you have headphones on, you might be able to hear that just beginning to make that boiling water cavitation sound. So as you know, when a steam engine starts up the first time, the steam is going to come out as condensate. And that's already happening, getting condensate coming out of there. So I'm going to put something down to soak that up before we get a flood. Right, we're going to hook on a piece of junk that needs to be recovered from down here and see if the... so we clearly have an old car part or something that needs to be recovered from this ravine. So we're going to see whether the steam engine can handle that. Well, that's really not a problem. And this old this old crashed steam car, by the look of it, Okay, the reason it's stopping is because there's a knot at the top. Right, see the knot there? That's stopping it from going up any further. Let's hit the top again. Right, we're gonna try this out in a minute. With the crane part of it off. So it's single acting, working well. Actually, very nearly as well as the day it was brought home. Kitty puss. Hello. What you doing, man? Puss, 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 puss.